that man's greatest enemy is man today. Most psychiatrists hate me. They would like to see the end of me, because I am dead against psychotic drugs. Because each one of them derived from either rocket fuel extract or from naphtha extract of nujol damage the human system. It's not only the psychiatric drugs, other drugs also, because there's a beautiful study done by an American scientist, a great scientist. He is actually a professor of genetics in the Washington State University. Douglas, he's called Douglas, D.C. Douglas. Douglas did a fantastic study. He created a chip called the MIT chip, mitochondrial chip, a computer chip which tracks the drug when it goes into the human system. And it tells you what it does. And he took a lot of our modern medicine, we call it as modern medicine. Why is it called modern medicine? I don't know. Anyway, we call it as modern medicine. And the other herbal drugs, mainly Tibetan, Chinese and Indian herbal drugs. And what came out in that study is something fascinating. The minute we give any drug, when I give any drug, it may be anything from aspirin to statin, the body says, this is something new, I have not seen it. My ancestors have not seen it. Mankind has not seen it. So it must be a poison. That's the wisdom of the human body. So any poison which goes in, the body tries to throw it into the chemistry factory in the body called the liver. So it's thrown into the liver. Every drug, mind you, mark my words, every drug. Now what the liver does, it does its best to destroy it. Supposing the liver is not able to immediately destroy the whole lot, something comes out of the liver.
Do you constantly feel tired and it is slowly affecting your work? You always feel irritated.
Wearing branded outfits. This is not.
So the drug must be taken in its natural form. That is why the poet wrote, little do we see in nature that is ours. Little do we see in nature that is ours. Getting and spending, we seem to have lost our powers. What are we doing? Ask the chartered accountant. How many people want to cheat? I mean, probably, in a philosophic way, today if you cheat the government, I would be very happy because the government is squandering that money. You give that money as tax, it's used for, it directly is into the Swiss banks. And probably India is the biggest depositor in the Swiss bank. So instead of that, you can do some good others. So we have a lot of these what are called philanthropes. The philanthropes are those who really want name for giving that thing. So and so has given, that kind of a thing. I'll tell you a story of two great people. Bill Gates, whom we all know, great man, he does a lot of philanthropy, he gives money, etc., etc. Put just $1 billion for the Gates Foundation. That too because he had a disease for which he didn't get a good psychiatrist like him. He was taking antidepressants. He suddenly had a disease. This fellow likes the tandoori chicken very much. And he suddenly started hating tandoori chicken. Bill Gates could not eat tandoori chicken. And he almost hated tandoori chicken. So he hated food and started losing weight. And all the medical establishment in America which he created, because he owns 3/4 of the drug companies and almost 100% of the vaccine companies. Now all that couldn't help him. One day somebody told him, look, why don't you give something? That's the essence of Indian philosophy. Tena, tyaktena, bhunjitaha. Ishopanishad says, I should be saying that in front of Tripati ji. So the drug must be taken in its natural form. That is why the poet wrote, little do we see in nature that is ours. Little do we see in nature that is ours. Getting and spending, we seem to have lost our powers. Bill Gates, whom we all know, great man, he does a lot of philanthropy, he gives money, etc., etc. Put just $1 billion for the Gates Foundation. That too because he had a disease for which he didn't get a good psychiatrist like him. He was taking antidepressants. He suddenly had a disease. This fellow likes the tandoori chicken very much. And he suddenly started hating tandoori chicken. Bill Gates could not eat tandoori chicken. And he almost hated tandoori chicken. So he hated food and started losing weight. And all the medical establishment in America, which he created, because he owns 3/4 of the drug companies and almost 100% of the vaccine companies. Now, all that couldn't help him. When once you take any drug in its natural form, the body immediately says, this is mine, I know. My grandfather has eaten it. It's like rice or it's like wheat. So it is immediately taken in. So the MIT study or the mitochondrial chip study showed that it is the body's intelligence and the energy that runs the system and not the drugs. And all that the modern drugs could do is ADR, adverse drug reactions. The biggest killer of mankind today is not a gun, it's not a plane falling down. You would be surprised, in America alone, whose population is less than 300 million, 4 jumbo jets full of people die every week due to drugs. If one jumbo jet falls down in this world, there will be news for 2 months in all the television, 24 hours 7. And every week, 4 jumbo jets fall down. And these people unnecessarily die by what is called iatrogenesis, doctor-induced illness, through our biggest weapons of mass destruction, about which I have written with the caption called Weapons of Mass Destruction in the British Medical Journal, the drugs, chemical drugs. When Nelson Rockefeller had depression in 1952, because he made so much money, pulverized everybody in Texas and made money from all other oil people, then he had a house, huge car. And then he was depressed so much that he was not sleeping at all, rolling in bed the whole night. No psychiatrist could help him, because ultimately what happened was, one day he didn't sleep a wink. So he went to his lawyer the next day. The lawyer told him, why don't you do some charity? That was in 1952, $500 million was big money, and he gave it as charity as Rockefeller Foundation. And Rockefeller improved, died at the age of 89. So it is in giving that you get, and that is the philosophy in life. You may say, I am not Rockefeller, I am not Ambani, how can I give? No, can't you give 1 paisa from your 1 rupee? You don't lose nothing. Okay, you can't give that. Can't you give a smile? The beauty of walking is not, some people say, I have money, I'll have a, what is that called? Treadmill. Like that. There also he has got that computer inside, calculating how many crores are coming and going, and he's running. No use at all. Walking must be, the walking's benefit is not just the leg moving. It's the beauty of the thing. You're being one with nature. And you're a part of nature. You came from nature, going back to nature, you're only a part of nature. And that is the beauty of walking in the morning. In addition to the physical exercise you get anyway. That's what Ayurveda usually says. Samikshakari, work very hard. That's the exercise. If you work very, very hard, that exercise is enough to keep you going. And you will feel very, I'll tell you an experiment you do. A day when you are very tired, go for a walk. Come back, you are so rejuvenated. You have forgotten your tiredness. However tired you are, go for a walk. Maybe in the evening, maybe in the afternoon, maybe any time. And there is no time, as long as the weather is okay, you go for a walk. And a lot of our ladies worry about sun, our best friend in the world, the man who keeps us alive. If the sun takes a strike, 1 week strike, we'll be all dead. Why we? Even the plants will be dead. So it's the sun's electromagnetic energy that keeps you and me going. And sun is the best friend. But the industry has produced a myth with television saying that you will get skin cancer, you will become black, your color will go, and things like that. So you have so many things. Sunscreen, one of the important causes of skin cancer. Then all kinds of chemicals on the face, you make up. You must see these people, American people who look so nice on the television. You see them in the house once, you will think it's some ghost of that person. So bad they look, because the skin completely peels off. You go to Kerala and see those women at night, glowing face, because they put coconut oil and they take bath, never wash the coconut oil. Have you seen a Kerala lady in Kerala at the back? She has got a half moon in her brows. That is her hair standing there with a lot of coconut oil making an impression. Show me one Kerala girl who has got a skin disease. Because biggest germ killer in this world is coconut oil. Biggest germ killer. That's why in pickles you put coconut oil, you don't grow fungus in that. And you look at a Tamilian girl, no feet, you must see their feet. So clean. Because they don't get out of the house without turmeric paste on the feet. These are all healthy things that we don't do. And the truth is always suppressed for business. Coconut oil. 1964 I wrote an article. Coconut oil is as good as mother's milk and the best fat, because coconut oil and mother's milk are the only two things that contain sodium monolauric acid, which is the basis of human immune system. I even wrote there, suspecting doctors who have not studied their biochemistry properly will have a child to go and see the infant food, which is only coconut oil can be used for infant food. If you use any other oil, the infant will die, because only two things that get digested in the mouth, because infant doesn't have the pancreatic juice, pancreatic lipase, so the fat can be digested only by the salivary lipase. And only two things. Even today, you put coconut oil in the mouth, it gets digested there. You don't have to swallow it. It just gets digested and directly goes as ketones. And that is why in America today, coconut oil is a treatment for Alzheimer's disease with very good results. Coconut oil now is the treatment for heart diseases from Harvard. And Harvard has now admitted that because we demonized coconut oil, millions of people have died all over the world. So truth, it's very difficult, very difficult. I tell you, I have suffered so much that in 1984 I gave a talk on coconut oil for the heart in American College of Cardiology meet, where there were 25,000 cardiologists meet in 3 cities only, because such large conference halls are not there anywhere. And after the talk, they questioned me for a long time. Somehow or other I survived. Then I was coming out, there was the old cardiologist, he is no more now, may his soul rest in peace. Elliot Corday is his name. He called me and said, "Young man, do you have any other work in Boston?" I said, "No, sir. See, it's now 4 o'clock. It will be dark by about 6 o'clock, and the soil lobby is so powerful here, they may bump you off. You better go." This is called truth. This is the truth. You must see the abusive letters I get. I wrote a book called What Doctors Don't Get to Study in Medical School. It came out. There's a big journal in India called the National Medical Journal, which comes from All India Institute. And they think they're All India Institute, they're all gods, because they have political clout. You know, he starts the All India Institute as an MBBS student and then dies in NCD as this retired director or somebody. Till then, they're all in All India Institute. So he wrote 2-page review. The author is a fool. He doesn't know science. He's a bloody fool. And he must be hospitalized. And the book is so bad. The English is horrible. And this and that. And all kinds of rubbish he wrote. Would you believe copies were sold in 1 week? So I wrote him a nice letter. Thank you very much for getting all my books sold. Now this book was published in London by a company, English company, on their own. And the British Medical Journal wrote a review which said, this is not a textbook of medicine as claimed by the author, but is a holy text of medicine written by a prophet. Then all over the world it sold. It is so difficult to tell the truth. So difficult to tell the truth, because people don't want to accept truth because it is not for business. But I always tell people, see, one day I was called to give an oration in a Santom auditorium for 2,500 people, this is about 20 years ago, on one of those saints, Paramacharya in Kanchi. He was alive at 106, Chandrasekhar Bharati. When he died, there's a trust which made it, and they wanted me to give an oration. And the topic they gave, the topic was quantum physics and Advaita philosophy. So I gave a speech, 1 hour. I was questioned for 2 hours. Madras audience is very, very intellectual. They all come there ready, prepared. And they gave a standing ovation. I went home. I was a vice chancellor in Manipal. I get a letter. Dear Professor B.M. Hegde, you are an idiot. First sentence, full stop. Shankara is a bigger idiot. Second sentence. Between the two of you, don't try to confuse the world. Next time you come to Chennai and talk about Shankara's philosophy, we will throw rotten eggs on your face. Sign so and so. I enjoyed the letter. You know, I have so nice letter. So I wrote him, dear Sri so and so, thank you very much for your loving letter and the sentiments expressed therein. You may think I am an idiot. It doesn't matter, because I know what I am. So you think I am an idiot. It doesn't matter to me. But don't think Shankara is an idiot, because you can't assess him. He's too big for you. Leave him alone next time when you're angry. Only blame me. And do you know what happened? This man's ego got punctured. He came all the way down to Manipal, touched my feet and said, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't understand. He was the secretary of the Madhva Pita in Madras, and they hate each other so much. Then I told him, look, you call yourself a religion, and you're in the same religion, you hate each other, like the Sunnis and the Shias and Protestants and the Catholics. Time was when I was a student in England, there's 2 roads, Victoria Road and Falls Road. There are 2 roads in Belfast like this. If a child from Victoria Road by mistake goes to Falls Road, it will never come back alive. Because Falls Road is purely Catholic and the Victoria Road is purely Protestant. This is the thing that I said. There were three acharyas. They thought about the same thing and looked at it from three different angles. That's all. And they're all great people. And you and I, ordinary mortals, can't even think what they are. So why do you blame them? This man is my best friend now. And his wife makes such fantastic sambar, I tell you. Vengai sambar. That each time I go to Chennai, I get a free meal there. So even if people are angry with you, you give them love. This is my formula. Return anger with love. You win over the man, win over the woman, or whoever it is. Because love is the best tonic that I've ever found in life. And go back to your roots. Accept what you are. Because if I'm a monkey, if I know I am a monkey and I accept I am a monkey, I have no stress at all. But most of us, if we are monkeys, look at this girl. But most of us, we know we are monkeys, but we want to show to the world we are tigers. Now here is a stress. Because every second you have to act like a tiger, act like a tiger. Because if something slips, your monkeyness may be seen by society. So the biggest stress is, you don't know who you are. Try to know who you are. And then, life becomes so easy. Don't keep any secrets inside. Open book. Anybody can write on that book. Open book. And you are so compassionate, so happy. Compassion is thy real meaning. See, we have changed the definition of health now. We, in the sense, we have a group of scientists. We call ourselves the World Academy of Authentic Healing Sciences. We are 15 years old. And except me, I'm a villager. The 14 of them are who is who in the world of science. 4 of them are Nobel laureates, and they are very influential people. And we have had a decision to say we must change the definition of health as absence of mental, physical, psychological, spiritual, etc., death. And this is the definition of alma alta is a business thing. Because I tell you what, absence of disease. Now for that we have created a business called checkup. Checkup. You are fine, no? You are fine, but you go to a checkup, you come out as a patient. I'll tell you why. It is very simple. Don't laugh. I'm serious about it. Very serious. Because today you have a TBS, total body scanner, which scans 500 parameters of your body. Okay. Now a little statistics, even a child knows that what are we doing in medicine for the human body? We say your normal blood pressure. What is normal? What is your normal blood pressure is not what my normal blood pressure. Mahatma Gandhi's blood pressure is 210 by 120 all the time. And Sushila Nair was not getting sleep. Mahatma Gandhi was getting good sleep. And the old man died of a complication of hypertension, brain death, heart disease, and this and that. Unfortunately, Godse helped him not to suffer from any one of that. So we must thank Godse for that. See, what is happening here is, I have a friend of mine who started Nimhans as the first founder director. R.V. Verma. R.N. Verma is now 89, 91. This man has been seeing me for the last 45 years saying that his blood pressure is 90 by 40. I told him, why are you worried? Brian Bach's blood pressure is 60 by 40. And he is the strongest man in the world. So what is the problem? So your blood pressure is what is your blood pressure. So what is the textbook's blood pressure? It's called the average, statistical average. You take 1,000 people, check their blood pressure, and no blood pressure can be checked correctly by a human being because the very physics of blood pressure is wrong. I won't go into that because it will confuse you. Come back to this. Now what has happened is, you check 1,000, plot it on a XY graph. Okay, na? Correct me if I'm mistaken. Then you have a Gaussian curve called the bell-shaped curve, right? Yes. Then you say mean plus 2 standard deviation. Now that comes to whatever. Now I'll give you an example. What is the normal height of an Indian male? Gaussian curve, 5.4, 2 plus this side, that side. 5.2 plus 5.6, you're normal. Okay? Right? Amitabh Bachchan comes for a checkup. 6.2. Our treatment is cut his legs to make him 5.6. अरे वो तो हम करते हैं ना. शुगर को क्या करते हैं, ब्लड प्रेशर को क्या करते हैं, वही करते हैं. Then next day Jaya Bachchan comes for a checkup. She is 4.6. Transplant that leg to her. Day in and day out, we doctors are doing this. trying to correct the statistical average, which we tell the common man as normal. So average becomes a normal, there will be what are called false positives. For every parameter, the false positive is 5%, right sir? Yes. Now calculate, I am telling you. When you check 500 parameters, what is the false positive? 2,500. So 100 people go for a checkup, 2,500 patients come out. Isn't that a good business? So there was this professor of medicine in America, her name is Leon Eisenberg, and this girl was 52 years old and she was a very brilliant professor and she was worried about what she was teaching. One day she asked the brightest class boy who passed out, came to her, she said, who is a patient, she asked. She was expecting a very esoteric answer. The boy very simply said, a man or a woman who sees a doctor becomes a patient. She had a shock of her life. She said, then when does he become a man or a woman again? The student thought for a while and said, rarely ever, madam, if ever, full stop. This girl resigned her job as professor of medicine at the age of 52 because she said everything is wrong about medicine. And she sat the MCAT test. MCAT is CET, GET, whatever he has, and got a good grade, joined the medical school. That medical school, a student again, went through 4 years and came out and said, everything that we teach is wrong. Did you get it? You haven't got it because it's not publicized. That article is suppressed. This is very interesting. The first article which studied diet and heart started in 1954, ended in 1959, spent $110 million of the taxpayers' money in America, and the study said diet has nothing to do with heart disease. But by 1959, the myth of fat has gone so much that we have started getting fat-lowering drugs, cholesterol. Have you seen that drug? You have to take 8 tablespoons of that in the morning. It is like sand, and most patients used to vomit it. And that was the beginning of the cholesterol too, the statin today. 25 rupees a tablet you give, take it, it kills you. 10% of people who start statin, their blood sugar starts going up. 10% of statin users become diabetics. So 11 million people take statins in India and 1.1 million diabetics are added every year. Then we proclaim on the other hand by the diabetic drug people, he said India is the capital of diabetes of the world. False. The truth is, India is the best country to have diabetes because Americans are following Indian rice diet for diabetes. South Indian rice diet. Idlis in the morning, brown rice in the afternoon, and brown rice in the evening, and a little fruits here and there 6 times a day, 8:30, 10:30, 12:30, 3:30, 6:30, 9:30. Small feeds. And don't ever see wheat because wheat contains gluten. Gluten goes directly to the pancreas and maintains your diabetes. If you're a diabetic, wheat maintains your diabetes. Good to know, because we want diabetes to be maintained. This is called disease mongering. If everybody is not mad, what will this doctor do? He'll have to close his shop. See, this is called taking medicine to the marketplace. What did Hippocrates say? Cure rarely, comma, comfort mostly, semicolon, console always. And what is consoling? What is consoling? Psychotherapy. So, today you people, you are the topmost doctors in the world. Because you are doing exactly what Socrates said, not Socrates, our friend, our father, Hippocrates said. But we are all hypocrites. He was Hippocrates. And we took an oath in his name and immediately became hypocrites. Today, medicine is the biggest industry in the world. Cholesterol lowering alone is $1.72 trillion business. One company which sells cholesterol drugs gets on an average $15 to $18 billion profit. A cardiac stent, which is like your spring of the ballpoint pen, costs $10 to manufacture. Sold for $2,000. And the budget is $500 doctor's hospitality. And a company gets a small profit of $1,490 per stent. And of course, you don't get it for $2,000. The hospital will have add so many things that salt, then seasoning, etc., etc. It becomes about 3-4 lakhs. Now, what does it do at the end of the day? Nothing, because the blocks you see are not disease at all. The disease that kills you is not seen in the angiogram. It's called vulnerable plaque, which can't be seen. These blocks are very good because even a child has a block. They did angiogram for young children in the American army, aged between 18 and 22, who died in the Vietnam War and the Korean War. They had 4 vessel blocks, 3 vessel blocks. They were very healthy because God has given enough. That's called remodeling the heart. It's preconditioning it. These people with the block get a heart attack, they won't die. But if one gets a heart attack without a block, he will drop down dead. So, but we frighten that. We tell them, don't you know the sentence we use? You are sitting on a volcano. It might burst any minute. So the fellow says, can he go home and come back? He has talked to his wife. I don't know. On your way back home also you may die. So you better do it now. Do you know why? If the Bakra goes out and talks to somebody, he may not come back. Cost of a cardiac catheter lab and surgery will be about 30 to 40 crores today. They don't put their money. They put some black money as this thing and then borrow it from the bank. There are obliging bankers who give you money. Now having got the money, now calculate the interest. Calculate the other thing. So you require minimum 4 bakras a day to run the show. That is why Mark Twain wrote, I quote, for a man with a hammer in the hand and wanting to use it, everything here looks like a nail needing hammering. Absolutely true. That is why we have become a menace to society. It has to change. It can't change otherwise. It has to change from within. And that change can come only if we can bring a generation, future generation, which is not as greedy as we are. It's the human greed that kills another human being. And if you don't have greed and if you don't have, as somebody rightly said, you have to your ego, you have to sell it, is it? That's why the first thing I sold was, before I sold anything else, my ego in the market. But if you look at yourself, you are a colony of 100 trillion human beings. They are called human cells. And they are all you. And each cell has been living on its own. It has got its mind, it can eat, it can sleep, it can excrete, it can do everything. So about 100 trillion of them joined together and made a colony called the human body. And you think your human body is solid? There's nothing solid about you. You are like the television screen. You know, I'm talking here. It's like Amitabh Bachchan talking on the television or Hema Malini dancing. You put the television on, Hema Malini starts dancing. You put it off, Hema Malini is dead. But you go to the dining room and put it on, Hema Malini is born there. That's what exactly happens to the human cell. This was found out by a cell biologist called Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton. There's a beautiful book you must read called Biology of Belief. This is a fascinating book. This man was an atheist. He never believed in God. And he was a professor of anatomy in the Wisconsin Medical School. And he was a cell biologist. And he was studying this live cell. And then he saw the cell is live, moves about, does everything. It excretes, it thinks. They are called human cells. And they are all you. And each cell has been living on its own. It has got its mind, it can eat, it can sleep, it can excrete, it can do everything. This was found out by a cell biologist called Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton. There's a beautiful book you must read called Biology of Belief. This is a fascinating book. This man was an atheist. He never believed in God. And he was a professor of anatomy in the Wisconsin Medical School. And he was a cell biologist. And he was studying not the dead cells like most anatomists study, which he calls as the tombstone of a cell. He was studying a live cell. And he was studying this live cell. And then he saw the cell is live, moves about, does everything. It excretes, it thinks, it can. You just put a drop of poison at one end of the petri dish, the cell runs away from the poison. You put a drop of some good food there, the cell runs into the food and eats it. Then he saw, on the day you are made, you are the one cell, you are called zygote, your weight is 0.1201 gram. But that one cell, when suddenly gets a connection, that's what's called the integral membrane protein with an antenna, like your television antenna, it gets a connection from universal consciousness. And the cell becomes live, and it just starts doing everything. This man was looking at it, my God, he said, I thought science runs this world, but look at it, something beyond science runs this world. And he became a believer, and he wrote this book, and now goes around preaching. Bruce now goes around preaching like a preacher, people to have belief in God because it's God who runs the world. That's what's called the biology of belief. Emotions have been proved to be chemicals. There is this girl called Candace Pert, a brilliant PhD student, who came to the palace. America's NIH is called the palace, where all kings sit. Like, here ICMR is a palace. And like that, they're all big people. I call them Sarkari scientists. And there are Sarkari intellectuals here who give opinion on everything under the sun, from sun to the moon. Everything they give. So this Sarkari scientist, the head was what's called Saul Snyder. Snyder is a big name, a Lasker Award winner and a big name. So this girl started her postdoc with Snyder, who had some money, for finding out opiate receptors which are known to be only in the brain, because we thought the brain, mind is only in the brain at that time. So he told her, find out if the opiate receptors are elsewhere. This girl took to it like fish taking to water. She worked very hard, day and night, day and night, day and night. But by the time the money was spent, there was nothing left. And still she has not got the receptor. So Saul called her, I don't want to waste my money on you. This receptor is over. You go and do something. I don't want you as a postdoc. But this girl said, I'm going to find it one day. Something inside her saying, I'm going to find it one day. So she told him, I don't want money, sir, but I'll continue in this lab. He said, for a change, okay, continue in the lab. 6 months later, she found out an opiate receptor in the muscle. Opiate receptor in the blood vessel. And she was so excited. And she had worked so hard, she deserved a holiday. She locked her laboratory and went away for a long holiday. Then something sensed in this fellow, something is amiss. So he called the laboratory technicians and said, what was this girl doing at night? They said, sir, she was working on the same thing and she has found something. Is it? Then lock was removed at night. And he got the ledger and got all her data. And before she came back from the holiday, he published the data in a paper. And he was so influential that he went to Swiss Academy and said, this is the thing I have found. And they said, okay, you will get the Nobel Prize. So Nobel Prize was declared in his name, but was not given because the date had not come. When this girl, Candace, came back, she was so fuming because he said, this fellow who destroyed my career now wants to steal my data. Very bold girl. So she went directly to Geneva and Zurich and then talked to all the members and said, this is my work, this is my original data, this fellow has photostarted it, this is not his journal. And of course, Saul did not get his Nobel Prize. Candace lost her job. Candace lost her standing in community, thrown out. Candace wrote a book, Molecules of Emotion. Beautiful book. Molecules of Emotion. Please get that book and read it. Candace, Candace, P-E-R-T is her name, and read that book. And there's a beautiful sentence I'll tell you. Time will come when you get a headache, you don't look for a pill, instead sit in one place and elevate your consciousness to the level where your own brain produces enough opioids to kill your pain. Full stop. What a beautiful thing. And that is the future of medicine, my dear friends. But we have to take it out, de-link it from money. Unless you de-link medicine from money, this medicine will kill mankind. I don't know how many of you have read this beautiful article. If you have not, read it in the Google free. It's called Death by Medicine. There are 5 authors. The first author's name is Gary Null, G-A-R-Y-N-U-L-L. Please read that. You will get a shock of your life that we are the leaders of death in the world, followed by cancer low down and heart attack much lower down. On the top of the list, in a country where we think there are so much checks and balances, if it could happen, you horrified, you take the audit in India, my God, you will be shocked. That is why we went to the IOM, convinced them that the future of health definition should not have absence of disease, because there is nobody who has no disease. If I now scan all of you with the TBS, all of us will have not one cancer, 10 to 15 cancers. But they don't become cancers, they all die. When do they die? When you have a good mind and when you want to help someone, cancer cannot grow in you. But when you eat a lot, like a pig, and hate everyone, cancers grow like a tree. And that's what happens. And it's in the mind. Everything is in the mind. And where is the mind? Never mind. And the mind is everywhere. It's in my hand. And who is the mind? For every 9 cells of germs in my body, I have 1 cell of mine. In your body, for every single cell of yours, you have 9 germ cells. In your own genome, we are saying we are human genome, we know everything, we do genetic engineering, we will do stem cell. We don't even know one by one a millionth of a genome, because genome contains 23,000 human genes and 2.5 trillion germ genes. germinomes, metabolomes, virinomes, all of them put together, the metagenome is all germs, and I have written an article, you read that, it's a simple article called Germs Are Us. Toys Are Us you have seen, So I wrote Germs Are Us. We are germs. So when I say, did your father have diabetes? Yes, sir. Oh, then you become a diabetic. With fear itself, the sugar will go up. Your father's diabetes has nothing to do with you. Because your father and you, the relationship is 1 in a million zeros, 1. But you may be a diabetic if the germs is a diabetic. So you are a germs child. And these germs are our friends. We have come one full circle from Pasteur. Louis Pasteur said, germs kill. And then they say, germ theory was born, and that's why mankind is alive. It was a great day for medicine, and antibiotics were Today it's a very sad day for medicine because there are 500 antibiotic molecules. They cannot even touch some of the germs which have grown in the hospital called superbugs. And do you know how we kill it? When Morarji Desai used to drink his own urine, we used to laugh at him. Did you laugh? You also must have laughed. Because most of us are RNIs, RNA, resident non-Indians. Most of us live here, think with American mind. Now, America, do you know what they are doing? Because patients are dying like flies in the intensive care unit with nosocomial infections. One Professor Chu in Johns Hopkins Hospital, she went into veterinary science. In the veterinary science for hundreds of years, infections were treated not by the present vets who use antibiotics. In the olden days, vets, cow's infection was used by cow dung. This girl did a bold thing. The patient was dying of a simple Clostridium difficile infection. And otherwise the patient was very healthy. So she gave the shit of her patient's own mother, 250 shit, emulsified, put it in a tube and put it in the mouth. By evening the patient became all right. Now for severe infection, the treatment is, in American jargon, fecal transplant. Fecal transplant. Morarji Desai was drinking urine. Today it's fecal transplant. Now America says human urine has so much of kallikreins and so much of immune boosters that it could be treatment. And cow's urine is now patented for treatment as an immune booster. One day I was with the central minister. This fellow used to be my patient. So he one day told me, Professor Hegde, shall I tell you a secret? I said, go ahead. You can tell it to the world, I don't care, he said. I said, okay. He was admitted with what is called ulcerative colitis. You must have heard of it, and which means we don't know anything about it. It's called idiopathic disease. We are very happy about this disease. Idiopathic means I am an idiot. But that idiopathic is in Latin, and I am an idiot in simple English. I am an idiot, I don't know. And he was having 20 loose motions of blood every day and lost about 20 kilograms. And he was admitted in intensive care unit in the All India Institute. One day, Morarji Desai's Prime Minister came to see him. He told him, you bloody fool, on the first day itself I told you to drink your urine, you forgot. Now anyway you are dying, drink your urine, he said. And he says the next morning he drank because he wanted to survive. One day drinking, 20 became 18. 2 day drinking, cut short, 10 days drinking, he went home. And he is alive now because somebody has now removed a part of his brain, intentional to make him a vegetable, but he is still alive. He is about 76, 77, 78. I have another chief minister friend of mine. One day he told me, Professor Hegde, do you know your friend? So and so, yes. He was our party chief. And I had an eczema. My father was a doctor. I'm an engineer. But this eczema will not go. I was looking so ugly, I couldn't face the world. One day, your friend, that minister, told me, hey, drink your urine. I tell you, I faithfully do that even today. I have no disease at all. I'm so fine. Both these ministers are saying, we'll give you money, you do a research. But I have done my research already because I have a lot of volunteers, don't worry. And we have shown how important it is. I had a patient recently who had a heart attack and he came to me. He survived somehow or other. Not because of me, they all survived because of themselves. Now this man had ulcerative colitis. So his gastroenterologist gave him sulfapyrazine, and next day he had Stevens-Johnson syndrome. He was almost dying, kidney failure, whole body was bloated with skin, and heart failure came, and he became really bad. So his wife was crying, doctor, heart attack, you saved him, but with this simple diarrhea he is dying. So I told her, look, if he is dying, definitely ask him to drink his urine. He became all right in a week's time. The whole thing stopped. So we have, little do we see nature that is ours. Because the world is too much with us. Money is too much with us. This is what our friend William Wordsworth wrote after the Industrial Revolution. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we seem to have lost our powers. Little do we see in nature that is ours. We have sold our soul, a sordid boon. Friends, don't sell your soul to the devil. Who is the soul? Now we know where the soul is. Here is this quantum physicist who is an astrophysicist. His name is Robert Lanza. And Lanza has found that the soul leaving the body. How many of you have read that beautiful book called H.W. Wells written a book called Holes in the Wall? If you have not read, read it. H.W. Wells, the fascinating book called Holes in the Wall. Or a book called Bridge on San Luis Rey. Bridge on San Luis Rey. It's a 1927 Penguin classic written by a man called Thornton Wilder, an American writer, and in which he says how there are two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead, connected by a bridge of human love. Now, multiverse is a theory of Lanza, multi-universes, and our Sanatana Dharma, especially the Upanishads, talk about multiple universes, and so beautifully. And what the Upanishads talk is quantum physics. Asino vrajati duram shayano jati sarvatah is what an electron is. Nobody has described the electron as well as Upanishads. That is why I tell people, see, ultimately, Indian philosophy is the greatest philosophy. Indian philosophy doesn't mean Hindu philosophy. There is nothing called Hindu religion. It's Sanatana Dharma, ageless religion. And in every walk of life, do your dharma. Dharma is not religion. Dharma is your obligation to society. And if you did that, you will all be healthy. Today, the greatest quantum physicist Max Planck says, consciousness is fundamental. Everything else is derived from that. So you are derived from the consciousness, I am derived from the consciousness, from the same consciousness. Supposing I want to hurt our chartered accountant, it hurts a part of my body. So I want to destroy him, my body gets destroyed by my own cells. That's called autoimmune disease. Me, you concept.